Rain fell in heavy sheets, drenching the jungle floor and turning the narrow dirt path into a slippery, mud-slicked trail. The darkness of the night was almost complete, save for flashes of lightning that illuminated twisted tree trunks, gnarled roots, and creeping vines. Phillips walked alone, his coat soaked through, boots sinking slightly into the mud with each step. The storm had appeared suddenly, like the jungle itself had awakened to punish him for trespassing. Thunder rumbled overhead, shaking the canopy, and the wind howled between the trees. Every sound, the cracking of a branch, the rustle of leaves, seemed amplified, echoing as if the jungle itself were alive and watching. Philip's flashlight flickered. Its weak beam barely penetrated the darkness beyond the immediate circle of light. He cursed under his breath, shaking the device, praying the batteries would last until he reached the small village rumored to lie beyond the forest. But the forest seemed endless, closing in with every step. Shadows stretched and twisted in unnatural ways. Philip's heart thumped in his chest. He told himself stories to keep calm. It's just the storm, just your imagination. The village is ahead. Yet, a whisper caught his attention. He froze. His pulse spiked. He spun in the direction of the sound, but all he saw was darkness, wet leaves trembling in the wind. Another flash of lightning revealed a figure in the distance. A man? Or was it just a trick of the rain? By the time Phillips adjusted, it was gone. Shaking, he started walking faster, boots splashing in the puddles. Every step seemed to echo like a drumbeat in the silence between the rumbles of thunder. And then, he heard it again. Don't turn back. No wind had carried it. No animal could have made that sound. His hands tightened around the flashlight. The path became narrower, almost non-existent, twisting deeper into the jungle. The trees leaned inward as if to trap him. Roots snaked across the trail like dark veins, threatening to trip him with every step. The rain became heavier, turning the soil into slick mud, soaking him entirely. Philip's mind raced. Maybe I should stay put, wait for the storm to pass, he thought. But the thought of sitting in that oppressive darkness alone made him shiver more than the rain. He pressed on, forced forward by a mix of stubbornness and terror. Then, a low groaning sound rose from the forest floor. It was soft at first, like the wind through hollow trunks, but it grew louder closer. Philip's flashlight trembled in his hands. Every instinct screamed at him to run. His boots slipped and skidded on the muddy trail, heart hammering with panic. The groaning became clearer, a distorted, almost human wail. Help me! Philip stopped dead. The sound seemed to come from all directions, surrounding him. He spun in a circle. The forest was empty, only shadows and rain, and yet he felt eyes, watching, waiting. A flash of lightning revealed something on the path ahead. A figure hunched over. A man? No, a shadow of a man. His head hung unnaturally low. Limbs stretched, almost twisted backward. It didn't move, but it radiated a presence. A silent warning. Philip swallowed hard. It's not real. Just water. Just shadows, he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. But the figure took a step forward. And then another. The rain fell harder. The wind carried whispers now, hundreds of them, indistinguishable yet terrifyingly close. Each whisper called his name. Each one promised pain, danger, or death. Phillips ran. Branches whipped his face. Roots tripped him. The flashlight fell, flickering, illuminating glimpses of something impossible. Faces in the trees. Faces that weren't there before. Pale, wet, silent, staring. His lungs burned. The jungle seemed endless. And then, he stumbled into a small clearing. The rain poured through the gaps in the canopy, pooling around his boots. Relief surged. He thought he'd reached the end. But the clearing was empty. Silent. Too silent. Then he noticed the footprints. Not his own. They circled him, large, deep impressions in the mud. They weren't human. And they didn't stop. A voice, soft, childlike, spoke from the darkness of the tree line. You shouldn't have come here. Lightning flashed again. A figure appeared, a man, pale, dripping wet, but with no eyes. Just hollow sockets staring at him. Phillips froze, paralyzed. The figure whispered again. Stay. Forever. The storm's wind carried Phillips' scream away, swallowed by the jungle. Phillips backed away slowly, his eyes fixed on the eyeless figure. The rain pelted down in torrents, yet he could feel a weight in the air, as if the storm itself had grown heavier, darker. Every tree in the clearing seemed alive, its branches twisting toward him. Then he noticed them tiny reflections in the puddles at his feet. Eyes, hundreds of them, small, glowing faintly white, staring up at him from the mud. And above, in the canopy, he could see more. Faces pressed against the bark, twisted in silent screams. He wanted to scream, but his voice failed him. A branch snapped behind him. Phillips spun around. No one was there, only shadows and rain. The eyeless figure had moved closer, gliding forward as if it didn't touch the wet ground. A whisper echoed in his mind, louder than the storm. You are mine now. He stumbled back and fell into a hole hidden by roots and mud. The impact knocked the wind out of him. Darkness surrounded him. For a moment he thought he was safe, but the whispers came closer from below. Something cold and wet brushed his arm. A skeletal hand? No skin, pale and clammy. A voice hissed near his ear. Don't move. We've been waiting. Phillips screamed and scrambled up the other side of the hole. He ran blindly into the jungle, guided only by instinct, the storm, and fear. Hours passed, or was it minutes? Time had lost meaning in the storm-drenched forest. Phillips' clothes clung to him, his boots filled with water. Exhausted, he stumbled upon a small river. The water was black, reflecting nothing but shadows. As he knelt to drink, he saw movement. The reflection in the water was not his own. A pale face, wide-eyed, with a mouth stretching impossibly wide, leered back at him. Phillips fell backward, splashing into the river. The water was freezing, but he forced himself to swim across, desperate to escape the faces that pressed against the riverbank. When he reached the other side, lightning illuminated a narrow trail disappearing into the trees. He followed it, hoping it would lead him out of the jungle. But the whispers had returned, growing louder with every step, forming a chorus of warning. You will not leave. The rain remembers. The jungle hungers. Philip's mind began to falter. Shapes moved in the shadows, figures that vanished when he tried to focus on them. Roots twisted beneath his feet, tripping him, as if the jungle itself were alive and plotting to trap him forever. Through the trees, he finally saw it. A dilapidated cabin. Its windows shattered, roof sagging under the storm. Phillips ran inside, slamming the door behind him. Inside, it smelled of decay and mildew. Furniture lay overturned. A fireplace held cold ashes. On the wall, someone or something had scratched words. You shouldn't be here. We see you. The whispers followed him inside, circling the room. He tried to block his ears, but the sound penetrated his skull, drilling into his mind. A shadow moved in the corner. Slowly, impossibly, it took shape. The eyeless figure from the clearing, now inside the cabin. Philip's flashlight flickered and died. Darkness engulfed him completely. He felt hands cold, wet, gripping his shoulders. He fell to the floor. The whispers became screams, then silence. For a brief moment he thought he was alone. But then he heard it. The creak of the attic stairs, high above him, and a voice, his own voice, calling, Phillips, come upstairs. He hesitated at the base of the stairs. Each step creaked under his weight. The attic was pitch black, yet he could see movement. Shadows danced along the walls, twisting into impossible shapes. At the center, a mirror stood, covered in a black cloth. The whispers urged him forward. Against every instinct, Phillips pulled the cloth away. The mirror reflected the cabin perfectly, except Phillips wasn't in it. Instead, he saw himself in the jungle, walking endlessly, rain pelting down, eyes of the forest watching. Behind him, the eyeless figure loomed, and hundreds of faces emerged from the shadows. He tried to look away, but his reflection grinned at Hitman Evil, unnatural grin, and whispered, You can never leave. We remember you. The floor beneath him shook. The attic walls seemed to breathe. Phillips stumbled backward, falling through the floorboards. Phillips woke in darkness, lying in a hollow beneath the cabin. The walls were earthen, wet, lined with roots. Water dripped from above. He scrambled to his feet, trying to find a way out. Then he heard it. Laughter. Childlike at first, then distorted, monstrous. Figures began to emerge from the mud. Pale, featureless faces, twisted limbs, their eyes black voids. They circled him, murmuring his name, pressing closer with each step. Phillips ran blindly through the underground tunnels, the jungle above him seeming to reach down with roots and branches, blocking every exit. He realized, the cabin, the hollow, the jungle, it was all connected. A single entity feeding on fear, waiting for those who dared enter. And he had dared. Hours or days passed. Philip's mind frayed. Every corner of the hollow held faces staring at him. Every step echoed in the tunnels like a drumbeat of doom. Then, a faint light appeared. Hope. He ran toward it, slipping through mud, barely keeping balance. When he reached the source, he realized it was no longer the storm outside. The light came from a figure, a pale man with hollow eyes beckoning him. Follow, it whispered. Phillips ran. Branches clawed at him. Roots wrapped around his ankles. Faces reached from the walls, the floor, even the ceiling. Screaming, he stumbled into an opening, a clearing. Rain still falling, moonlight shining down. But it wasn't freedom. The jungle had changed. The path behind him vanished. The trees closed in. And the figure from the cabin appeared again behind him. Phillips realized the truth. The jungle didn't just trap bodies, trapped souls. It remembered every scream, every step, every breath recorded forever. The eyeless figure approached. Phillips fell to his knees. Why? Why me? He begged. The figure whispered. Because you walked alone. In the dark. In the rain. Where no one should. Lightning struck, illuminating hundreds of faces around him, the lost, the forgotten, all who had dared the jungle before him. They closed in. The rain hissed, soaking him to the bone, drowning him in whispers. The last thing Phillips saw before the darkness swallowed him completely, the eyeless figure's grin, and in the reflection of the puddles, his own face staring back, empty, hollow, trapped forever. The storm moved on. The jungle stood silent again, waiting for the next traveler foolish enough to enter. And in the mud, a new set of footprints appeared, leading into the darkness.